Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin is a turn-based RPG where you capture, raise, ride, and fight monsters of all shapes and sizes. Think Pokemon meets Jurassic Park. You play as a rider, but not just any rider. You are the grandchild of legendary rider Red, whomst everyone is super obsessed with and won't stop talking about.
Your grandfather, Red, was a fine, upstanding rider.
You are inexperienced as a rider and have nowhere near the power held by your grandfather.
I can't believe my eyes.
Who are you?
I'm sorry to say, but this isn't Red.
Oh, of course. There's no way it could be.
Anyway, it's your time to shine now, because there be trouble on the winds, as Rathalos are disappearing and an ominous red glow is turning once peaceful monsters into terrifying, rage-filled attackers. So it's up to you, your monsties, or friendly monsters, and a handful of friends to bring peace back to the lands.
Stop! Lower your weapon!
For those who haven't played the original, don't worry, you don't need to. The stories are separate from each other, with a couple of familiar faces making an appearance, but the gameplay has been given some much-needed tweaking. There are 3 kinds of attacks you can use: speed, power, and technical. And each monster has a type they'll favour when calm, before switching it up when they become enraged. Each fight plays out like an extra brutal game of rock, paper, scissors, figuring out what type they're going to hit you with so you can counter them with an opposing attack. In a head-to-head, where you and your monstie are being deliberately targeted, both parties will still take damage when you clash, but you'll stand a better chance of coming out on top overall the more times you win. And if you and your monstie both use the same attack when targeted, you'll combine forces to deal out extra damage and improve your ranking at the end of the battle. As you and your monstie fight, you'll also fill your Kinship gauge, which, when full, lets you use an ultra-powerful Kinship attack. Would you look at that? The real friends were the monsters we slayed along the way. You can thankfully skip through these longer cutscenes and speed up the fighting animations if you're just out there to grind XP. Overall though, most battles aren't super long. If you're outmatched, you'll normally figure it out pretty quickly.
Listen to the monster's voice.
And if you're way too overpowered for your opponent, you can speed through it for an instant win. But there's a good amount of forward thinking that goes into a successful encounter. Juggling your item usage to heal you or your friends, or to injure an opponent. Strategically breaking through a monster's defenses while still keeping an eye on their patterns. Or swapping out your lead monstie for one with more useful attacks. You have to be on your toes or else you'll end up on your bum. When you're not doing untold amounts of damage to the local ecosystem though, there's plenty of foraging, crafting and errand running to be done. That's right, the world may potentially be on the brink of collapse, but by golly, this dude needs his windmills fixed, so that takes priority, I guess. But these quests do grant you money, XP, and loot you can use to craft armor, weapons, and other useful items. So there is an upside to being everyone's personal errand child. As you travel around, you'll also come across monster dens, at the end of which you'll find a nest that you can pilfer through to collect an egg you can then hatch and add to your monstie family. And as much as I love everything else Wings of Ruin has going on, nothing beats frantically running out of a cave, egg in arms, looking like a cartoon burglar. Monsties not in your main roster can also be sent out on fetch quests to gather resources and materials, or in a process that is never fully explained, absorbed by other monsties to make them stronger. There's a wealth of information and depth available here for those really keen Monster Hunter fans, but drip-fed in such a way it doesn't overwhelm newcomers to the series before they've had a chance to enjoy it, because there is so much beauty in this wild world to explore. Each breed of monster is unique in their appearance, like the bug-eyed Pukai, the chomping maw of the Zamatros, the entirely too much like a spider-looking Nursyla, and the... wait, what? Oh, whose idea was that? Oh, get it away from me, ew! Off the battlefield, certain breeds of monstie have riding actions that can be used to help navigate the environment, like being able to swim, jump across gaps, and break weak rocks, which is just yet another element you have to consider when picking out your party. Very few games can make grinding for XP an enjoyable experience, but Wings of Ruin managed to pull it off. With an intricate battle system, compelling gameplay loop, and an enjoyable, if a bit cliche, story to boot, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin is an absolute blast for veterans and newcomers alike. So I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.